Okay, show and tell here. This is my latest and greatest, and I always it's quilted maple, and then I didn't have a piece of quilted maple to. Actually, I made a lid, and I showed it to my wife, and she said that's terrible. Make a different lid, and that would look good with a walnut base or walnut. So I've got to get a piece of walnut, I guess, for that other lid. But anyway, so I made this, and I didn't have a big enough piece of quilted maple, and so I put them together with either you call it liquid ebony or black epoxy, either one. Now I don't have a joiner or anything, so this was just basically what I guess you'd call it rough edges. I mean, they were straight, but they were from the board stock. So I just put them together under pressure and created this little line of black, which I think is perfectly fine. And it worked very, very well, even though I don't have a joiner, planer, or any of those fancy tools. And of course, then the next step is you got to make sure that the center of the centerpiece is in fact the center, because you know, if you have this be the center, it wouldn't look very good. Then this is a finial. Several people asked about the finial. Mostly that's a matter of practice. Cindy Drosna makes the finest finials there is, and we do have her video. So if anybody wants to learn how to make a really good finial, far better than what I tried to do there, then I would urge you to check this out. Now I stole it from the book, so we got to put it back in the right place.
What's this weed?
Good point. And so anyway, that's my latest and greatest. The second thing I want to share is a jig or a tool I created, which is set up over here for you to look at. It's not a demo. I'm not going to show you how to use it because it's self-explanatory how to use it. But I have an indexing plate, and this would work with anything. I've only used it for one thing, and what it is a base. I have this base. This is for our ball maker. I had this base already, so I used it. I made this to hold a RotoZip tool. This is the RotoZip tool, and I created this to hold it, and then it just moves freely on this. Okay, so that's all there is there, and it's at center line. And then this is a indexing plate. And so with that I made, well, we all know how to make this. I made a different back with just these straight lines. This was the only thing I made, and it came out kind of cool. I do it a little differently the next time. But the bottom line is once you have it mounted and you have this, it's really simple. It is not rocket science to make something like this. If this was all I was going to make from this, it would be a stupid waste of time. But I believe that it's going to have some potential. This was the cover of AAW's magazine, and you can see how they made these grooves in this. I don't quite know how I do it, but I think you could do it with this. You know, if you'd have to do something to make the wiggles. But certainly you could do straight lines. And straight lines would be a piece of cake. There must be a way to make those wiggles so they go through. Another thing I see as potential is for a rim, like that would have a wide rim or something like that. You could, again, go all the way through and create lines around the edge. Or for a hollow form, not with that base, but you can make a bigger base so that you could maneuver, and you could take your hollow form and create slots. Yeah, slots, good word. Slots in your hollow form. So I'm kind of excited about the potential for it. I haven't seen anybody else do something like that, and so I kind of get a kick out of figuring stuff out. So feel free to look at it. You're more than welcome to copy it. Maybe we even could let you borrow it, but if you want to try it. So that's what I have. Who's next?
That's a vase, walnuts.
It's walnut. It's a vase. You made it. Right? Okay, Rich.
The reason why I brought this in is because I'll be giving away tomorrow. So I brought it in. What I'm really interested in doing is like small vases, very simple, 48 inches. So if anybody has that length of wood, please get in contact with me. I'm having a lot of trouble getting that tall piece. I get a lot of people asking me for that sort of stuff. Nobody wants bowls anymore, they want vases. This is just really, really simple. I usually do a lot more cold work and decorating on it. But the grain ran vertical. I just noticed it. I wish this thing was up another quarter of an inch to center it, but that's the way it turned down. And I just use drills, I use Forster bits, and I turn it around, hollow it out more, really a little heavy at the bottom, and just finish the top of it with a drum. This is a great piece.
Cool. Yeah, go over your thing.
It's cherry, there's some burl in it. There's also a lot of holes in this one. Just a little, more than a little conch to fill them in. I usually use a lacquer finish. And this one, I tried a general finish, oil urethane as a wipe on. And I'll use it again, sort of like that.
I just brought a couple small pieces in, little bud vase out of hickory, toothpick holders out of cherry, and I believe this was red elm. And we cut a, how many people know what this is?
Oh, no, it was
You said mulberry?
Mulberry.
I read that.
Oh, cheater. Anyway, we have big mulberry, and ever since I've been in the club, people say mulberry is not a good thing to turn. Well, I'll tell you what, it does crack, so once you get it dry. I have a cabinet kiln that really dries it out good, and that's actually mulberry. It's yellow, even when you first cut it down, it's yellow, and then when it dries, it's a little bit lighter, but once you put a finish on it, it really turns yellow. And I just, like the branch coming out of it, just a little character, but I don't know if anybody else would turn mulberry, but it turns.
Who did that Randy old segmented piece?
By the way, that's done on a Shopsmith. That bowl he's showing you right now, that's off the Shopsmith.
This is a 70, I think I found 76 pieces, which sounds like a lot, but it's not. There's one big board on the small bottom. And I found that 12 segments works good because it's 15 degrees, and most miter saws have the locking at 15 degrees. So this is a piece of walnuts. It's 1.5 inches wide by, I think it was 36 inches long, and the second one was a little longer. So that's only 2 boards. And then the big piece, I had 2¼ inch stock, and I cut that, I think that was about 24 inches long, and then everything's 15 degrees, and of course cutting all the 1/4 inch segments of the various ones on it. But this is very simple. And the funny thing is, I was so into the angle, because everybody's talking about segmented bowls when the angles meet, that's the most important thing, that I used a big protractor, digital, measured everything in. I never got it quite right, and the stupid miter saw, I ended up just putting it in the stock setting and everything. And perfect. The odd thing was I had it on a glue block with rubber cement, and I've become really concerned about getting this thing finished before I take it off my leg, because the end thing really sucks. And what I found is that on a Shopsmith, 500 RPMs is my lowest setting. So even when I got out to this far, this segment's 1.5 inches wide, and I found that no matter what, it would start gouging. So what I figured out is if I very gently gouged it myself, I could rough it, and then the finest cut, you know, very, very gently out here. And even after that, though, obviously we do have areas that it caught on. I found if I take my disc sander, and even if I have to, if it's really bad, if I stop it and sit there and clean that area out, I can turn it back on and round everything back into shape again. Well, since this was on a glue block, I took it and put it in my oven, and after it had all settled, all the segments moved. I mean, you could feel it all the way around. And then I found that if I just took 220, I knocked it down, it was perfect again, and then I put the poly on, hand white poly, and now I feel that all the segments have moved again. You can feel every one of them. I was thinking that if it was sealed in poly, that it had less moisture, give and take, you know, but you can definitely feel the segments in the pole, and you couldn't when it was finished. It's been 3 weeks now, it's kind of settled.
20 years old, it don't move.
No, that'll be settled.
But I mean, oh, it would move.
Just constantly.
Yeah, make everything out of coriander. You won't have any problem. We